Hello there and welcome to another Coffee with Colin, and thank you for joining me. I heard a phrase during the week. I was at a networking meeting with a group called Midwest Mentoring here in the Midwest of Ireland, based in Limerick, and at that meeting 30 or 40 businesses get together regularly every second week, and we share with each other. We talk to the rest of the group about our own businesses, share what it is that we do, so that the message gets spread out there, and when each of us is out there doing our thing, we perhaps bump into people whose needs match the services provided by some of our other fellow members of Midwest Mentoring, and in doing so we're able to over time pass referrals of prospects, and over time we all get to do a little business, and it's really wonderful, apart from the social aspect and apart indeed from the support aspect of such a group. But at each one of these meetings, which the larger meetings happen every second week, they're hosted by one of the companies involved, and that company that hosts the morning it typically gets 10 or 15 minutes to present their story in a little more detail. And in the week just gone, Barry Coffey of Coffey & Co, your trusted small business accountants, was the guy to get the 10-15 minute slot. And he did very well. Accountants typically aren't known for their speaking skills, and poor Barry had to put up with a few jibes even before he started. One wit in the group saying, "Barry, make sure it's not boring." And it was anything but boring. In fact, it was very interesting, and it wasn't all facts and figures. Barry simply told his story, told his journey, and he told of the time that he got out of the corporate world, decided to take a punt. Everybody was making a few bob out there at the time, and he'd get out and become an accountant in practice. And he did so just at the wrong time, did so just as the economy fell off the cliff. And in a relatively short space of time, he found that, in fact, rather than making money, he was in fact spending money. He was in fact digging a big hole for himself, and he was bemoaning his situation to a friend of his who used the immortal phrase, "Barry, would you ever turn off the JCB?" Right? Now, the JCB, for those of you that don't know, is in fact, JCB is a brand, and they make all sorts of machinery, I'm quite sure, but the one that JCB is most known for here in Ireland is a digger. Here in Ireland, Hoover represents every vacuum cleaner on the market, and Ballygowan represents every bottle of water on every shelf. So JCB stands for all things digger. So turn off the JCB was the equivalent of saying, "Barry, would you ever stop digging?" And Barry, in fairness, listened to the sage advice and went away and thought about it and said, "You know what, I am digging a hole, and I'm digging it very fast with my JCB, so it's time to turn off the JCB, stop digging, and start figuring this stuff out." And that's what he did. And when he stopped, he realised he was up to his neck in borrowings, he was up to his neck in staff, and he was up to his neck with a fancy schmancy office in the city centre. And he realised that if there was any way he was going to survive, he had to change all of that. So he was brave enough to tackle it, and he was brave enough to right-size his business, and he was brave enough to put the ego in the back pocket and head off to a home office where his expenses were considerably less. And he decided to start again, and that's what he did. And then over the last number of years, Barry has built a very successful business. So in the simplest of terms, the phrase "turn off the JCB" means if you realise you're in a hole and you're digging and it's looking like a bottomless pit, well then turn off the JCB and stop digging. It doesn't matter whether it's to do with your health or your finances or your relationships, or indeed in your spirit. If you're going the wrong direction, if you're just going down and it's looking like a bottomless pit, well then please turn off the JCB and stop digging. Because once you stop digging, well then, a little bit like Barry, the noise will stop. You'll have time to gather your thoughts, time to regroup and see where is it that you are relative to where it is you expected that you would be at this time. And if you realise that in fact you've been digging a hole and it's the wrong hole for you, well then start looking for help, start looking for advice, start looking for legitimate advice from proficient advisors who can help you fill the hole back in. We've all done it. We've all been like Barry. We've all gotten into the cabs of our JCBs, turned them on and started digging. And perhaps as I speak to you here today, perhaps somebody out there is sitting in the cab of their very own JCB digging away. And in their spirit, in their heart, in their gut, they really know that they should stop the JCB. They should turn off the JCB, stop digging, and catch their breath. And that's what I urge you to do. If that's where you find yourself today, well, please turn off the JCB, stop digging, catch your breath, and see where you are. And for some of you, when you do that, it might be the right thing to get back in the JCB and keep digging again. That might be the right thing to do. I don't know. You've got to decide that for yourself. But for some others out there who realise they're in the cab of their JCB digging away, perhaps when they turn it off, perhaps when they regain their composure and regain the silence, perhaps they'll realise that, in fact, you know what, I got to leave, I got to throw the keys away, got to throw the keys into the ditch and start finding a way, figuring out a way to get back on track, and perhaps I need to fill in this hole that I've already dug. The important thing is, if we take the lesson from Barry's phrase, turn off the JCB, and we look at our lives and realise that in fact we're digging a hole and it's more like a bottomless pit, well then we really should take Barry's phrase on board, should turn off the JCB, take some time, regroup and start again. So I thank Barry for allowing me to be a little bit flippant with the phrase turn off the JCB, because it in fact describes a very painful chapter in his own journey. And I might ask you to consider in this week's Coffee with Colin for the next few days, I might ask you to consider where is it in your life that you're in fact in your JCB digging away happily, or perhaps unhappily, but you're digging away, and in fact the time has now come for you to turn off the JCB, stop digging, regroup and see where you're at. Be like Barry and turn off the JCB. And thank you for joining me for this week's Coffee with Colin. I hope and trust as ever that you got something from it. If you have done and you think it would be of benefit to somebody else, I'd be delighted if you'd pass the link on. If it's your first time here and you've come across it and you'd like more of this type of stuff, well then go to the homepage, ColinO'BrienMotivation.com, leave me some details and I'll make sure you get a link like this on a weekly basis. Most importantly, please consider what's been shared here today and apply it into your thinking for this next week. And then equally as importantly, please come back next week and we'll share another coffee together and I'll ruminate on some other aspect of life and business. Between now and then, get some R&R, get some fresh air, get some good coffee. If you spend a lot of time with people, I recommend you take some time alone. If you spend a lot of time alone, I recommend you go meet some people. And then when the time is right, and only when the time is right, get your head back in the game, get organised for the week ahead, get stuck in, make next week count, be like Barry, and I'll see you here this time next week. Sláinte. I love great coffee. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.